Okay, this video is from chapter 4, which is about decimals. And we'll start off here with this problem. It says that one country's currency unit was worth about, and then they give us this decimal value of 0.0131 of a U.S. currency. Write a word name for 0.0131. Okay, so now to get into this, let me just show you this chart here. This will perhaps be helpful to you. Now, in chapter one, we discussed and you work problems dealing with place value of whole numbers. And so if you recall that, you remember we had ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and then it keeps going, obviously, it gets larger and larger. The next one over to the left would be billions and trillions and then so forth. But let's just stop at millions. How about that? That's where our chart stops. Please remember also that as you go to the left from the ones, you can tell that the values in each place are getting larger by a multiple of 10, right? So you have 1, and then times 10, you get a 10, and then times 10, you get 100, and then times 10, thousands, and so forth. All right? Please notice to the right of the ones, you have your decimal point. And notice just by the names, it should give you some idea of what's happening when you go to the right of the decimal point. Notice that first place name is tenth, and then the next one's hundredth and thousandth, and you can read them for yourself. And what that should imply to you is that as you go to the right, you're not multiplying. Now think about this now. As you go to the right, you're not multiplying by a multiple of 10, but you are dividing by a multiple of 10. Okay, so the 10th place would be, you took one whole and divided it by 10, and you had 10 pieces, and you had, in this case, you had 2 of them, you would say that's 2/10. So if you kept dividing your one whole smaller pieces, divide it one place again to the right, divide 10 times 10, or 1 over 100, and you would have hundredths. And then it keeps going in that sort of progression. So to sort of master this, you're going to have to get the idea that as you go from the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so forth, as you go from the ones and looking at this from the ones to the left, you're multiplying by 10 and the value is getting larger. All right. As you go to the right from the decimal point, you get smaller values because you're then dividing by a multiple of 10. You're dividing by 10, by 100, by 1,000, and so forth. All right. So if I go back to this Math Excel problem, let's see if we can count off what these place values are. And let me just, give me a second. Let me write this problem on my pad. I haven't written it out yet. And so it's 0.0131. And then that period at the after the one, that's just the period at the end of a sentence. So that's not another decimal point. Please don't let that confuse you. That's the decimal point. That's a period at the end of the sentence. I wish they wouldn't do that, but they do it. So here we go. Please notice. Here's the decimal point, and remember that period they had in the problem. That's just a period at the end of a sentence. Just ignore that. So notice, let's name these place values. You ready? Okay, so that would be the ones. Okay, there's my decimal point. That would be the tenths. Whoopsie daisy. That would be the hundredths. Right? This would be the thousandths. Right? This would then be the 10 thousandths. Okay? 10 thousandths. So please notice we have 1, and then we have 1 divided by 10. So this, if you thought of this in fraction form, you'd think of it as 1 divided by 10. This would be 1 divided by 100. This would be 1 divided by 1,000. And this would be 1 divided by 10,000. So notice, divide by 10, divide by 10 times 10, divide by 10 times 10, and so forth. So this would be divide by 10, divide by 10 times 10, divide by 10 times 100, divide by here 10 times 1,000. All right. So now, how do you name these things? How do you name these things? You go out and you find the place value where you have a digit, the last digit, and the last digit occurs here in the 10,000ths place. So what would this thing be called? It would be called 131 10,000ths. 131 10,000ths. Okay, so it would be called 131 10,000ths. 131 10,000ths. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that answer in Math Excel. I'm going to come back to this pad just for a second. Let's go ahead and do this. What did we say it was? 131 10,000ths. 100 3/10 and 1 no. 131 no. 130 no. It's 131 10,000ths. Okay, that's got to be the answer. Let's check it out and see. Hey, we did good on that one. Now let me go back to the pad just for a second. Now I don't want to confuse you, but I do want to let's play pretend. Let's play pretend. Let's play pretend. Let's pretend that this numerical amount ended at that 3. What would that be? Well, it would be what? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. That would be 13 thousandths. You see that? That would be 13 thousandths. Okay. What if it ended at this 1 here? How much would that be? Oops, let me slide it over. Right there. How much would that be? 100th. It would be 100th. And if I went any further, we wouldn't have anything. We'd have all zeros. All right. Okay. So I hope this helps you. I do hope this helps you.